Hey, and welcome into Not All There. I'm your host, Chad. This episode, I am talking with a good friend of mine, Rich. He was our very first guest, and he is back. We have a very good conversation today. We are talking about the promises of AA, and also the big topic, though, really, as it ties into that, is financial insecurity. I have it. I think a lot of people have it. We grew up with it. We maintain it. We've got very conflicting emotional relationships with money and how that ties into sobriety, because I can assure you, when I was out there doing my thing, I didn't give a fuck. All I cared about was getting drunk. So, needless to say, I had a few money issues. We're going to get to that in a second. If you're enjoying the show, go ahead and give it a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you may be listening to this. And I know it's been a hot minute since I have put one of these up, and we are in full blown family summertime, man. My kids, both of them, are playing travel baseball, which is great. That just gobbles up every last available moment of time. I come home, I pass out. So I got a break today. We're getting this baby up, and baseball's wrapping up soon. So we'll get back on track, regular schedule, getting these out as often as possible. Hopefully once a week, if not twice, if I can manage to get that many people to talk to me. I hope that you're doing well out there. It is summertime. Have fun. If this is a time of year that in the past, this is when you really went out and did the deed, it's okay to feel insecure or anxious or unsure about that, unsafe. If you feel like you might have a slip, make sure you reach out to somebody or listen to one of these, or just, you know what? The best thing to do is, if you find yourself in a situation where people are having a good time, they're drinking, maybe there's other things around that might interest you that would lead to bad results, it's fine to walk away. Just walk away. You can say, hey, I don't feel great. You can get an Uber, you can go for a walk or a bike ride, or just get in your car and go away. It's okay to leave. All right. And also make sure you do follow up with somebody about that. Okay. Just call a friend, just share what you're feeling. Just have someone listen to you. Okay. That's really important, especially in early sobriety, is to be checking in and to make sure that you are aware that maybe you aren't as strong at the moment as you feel you need to be. And that's okay. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to leave. All right. Don't feel badly about that. Because honestly, no one's going to give a shit in about 5 minutes, if that long. All right. Be good out there, people. Be safe. Wear sunscreen. Okay. Make sure you hydrate. Get the bug spray out. And hey, that's all from me for now. Here's Rich. Enjoy. We are here live in the basement. And sitting across from me is a man that I hold near and dear to my heart. Say hello, Rich.
What's up, y'all?
How you doing?
Outstanding.
Are you? Good. I mean, considering what we were talking about off mic.
Outstanding is kind of like aspirational.
Yeah, balls and strikes.
Yes.
Things. Rich and I have known each other for like 10 years. We're more like brothers, I think, than we are anything else. And Rich called me on the phone, and texted me, rather, I guess. But he had something he really wanted to talk about on the podcast. And he wants to speak about the AA promises. Now, Rich and I, we got sober through AA. A lot of people do. There's more than one way to get sober. AA just happens to be one of them. You can use AA in a combination of anything. But I think what you'll find, if you're open enough to the method that you're getting sober with, is that you'll see a lot of what is stated in the AA literature actually is very simple and very true. One of those things, as I mentioned, is the AA promises. Now, Rich, what say you about these promises?
So I just want to make a small correction to something you said. I do have something to say about the promises, but I actually wanted to talk to you about the promises because what happens is I have something to say about something, and then I say it to myself, and then I respond to myself, and then there's like a sur response and a sur reply, and it's really confusing, and it gets dumber and dumber. So
you resent yourself.
Yeah, and like I can't talk about like the promises in the big book with a non AA person because they're like, what the hell are you talking about?
That's true. It's like Nancy got a pamphlet the other day, like, do you believe that people can come back from the dead? You can't really just have that conversation with anybody.
No, it's not like a cold call kind of thing, you know? So, yeah.
Well, then please, the floor is yours.
So I think like for people who don't know, the big book is like the central piece of literature in Alcoholics Anonymous, and there it's broken up the first part into chapters. The second part is stories of people who have recovered. But there's a chapter called How It Works, and then that lays out the first 4 steps of AA. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, came to believe a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, turn our will over to God, made a searching and fearless moral inventory. Then it goes into the next chapter, which is into action. And so that's step 5, which is admitting to God and someone else the exact nature of our wrongs.
The real juicy part.
Yeah, which is it's not nothing.
No, it's not.
And
It's
6 became entirely
very
willing
powerful.
to have God remove these the defects of character. 7, humbly asked God to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all people we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. And then 9, make direct amends to people except when to do so and injure them or others.
Mhm.
And so that is where right after 9 is where the promises come in.
Yeah.
So there's 3 more steps after that, but that's not where the promises come in. The promises come in after 9. Okay, so at that point, you've done this thing that you could never do before, or you could never imagine doing, which
Right.
is, you're actually you're keeping your side of the street clean,
Yeah.
and making it up to people where you can.
Yeah.
So you've done this amazing thing, and like trying to clean up your life. And so this is where the promises come in, and I'm just going to read it because it's a real mind blow. So it says, if we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. And in a lot of meetings that you and I go to, they actually read the promises
Yeah.
along,
We think not.
yeah, and everybody says, we think not, like in unison.
Not a cult, people.
And if it's one of your first meetings, you're like, this is a cult. It's like, I told you. It's
Where's the chicken?
right.
Pentagram on the floor. Somewhere.
Right. But then after a while, it just kind of becomes like, oh, it's just like a thing that happens in meetings. And sometimes you give it some thought and sometimes you don't. And the longer you're in sobriety, like different things, if you're in AA, I think it's a common experience that like different parts of the program kind of bubble up at different times, and
Yes.
you pay them like more attention than you did before. And anyway,
Well, that's about sobriety. Is like it's a lifelong process.
right, totally.
You know.
And so sometimes in sobriety, I am like, why am I not better? You know what I mean?
Oh, I do know.
So
I
I'm
quit
like,
drinking. Why am I still such a prick?
yeah, or just why am I so like bothered? You know what I
Like
mean?
bothered. Yeah, that's a great way to do it.
And like, because you've done all that work through those steps, and then you've
Mhm.
done step 10, step 11, step 12, which are
Like it's more of a spiritual. You know.
yeah, and like you
Apologize where you've done wrong.
yeah, and sought through prayer and meditation to improve your conscious contact with God.
And then
Praying
pass the
all-
message.
Yeah, and praying for only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to do that, to carry that out. So that's like I always saw that as like a little too limiting in terms of like what I should be praying for. And then 12 is carrying the message, right? So so
Tomorrow, I literally will save the world, God.
and so I look at the promises, and sometimes it seems like it should be kind of like a thermometer um, for like how, how good or how my program is and my sobriety is. And sometimes I read the promises, I'm like, damn, man.
I don't think I can check any of those off.
Yeah, like sometimes I feel like I can check most. Sometimes I feel like I'm getting close on a lot. And then some days I'm like, oh my God.
Well, I mean, the third promise, we will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it.
Mhm.
I mean, how many of us look back at our past and are like, I can't fucking think about that. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. The shame that comes along with it is just that it's kind of a reminder.
Yeah, I think, and it's so funny that I think people who are like more in touch with their feelings
Mm,
and more sensitive and
mhm,
more caring
mhm.
about other people and like what they may have done or what they may have not done would be more concerned about three, that part. I will not regret the past or wish to shut the door on it. So you're like a very kind and sensitive person. And so that's a great thing. I never think about that. I'm like, I'm like, yeah, I did what I did. I made up for it. And
Keep it fucking moving,
I'm
man.
moving on. I don't know. What do you want me to do about it? Like,
Shit happened, man.
yeah, I'm like, I did what, I made my amends and I'm moving on. If you can't square with reality, that's on you. So the thing that bums me out sometimes also makes me laugh. But the thing that really consistently blows my mind is my inability to get freedom from the fear of financial insecurity.
Uh,
Dude, it is so stupid. It
yeah.
is so dumb because here's the thing. I don't care about money at all.
Nope.
The only time I care about money is when I don't have enough money to pay my bills or I want something that I cannot afford, which is basically almost all the time.
Right.
So I do care about money quite a bit, and I only want so much money that money is not an object in my life. So basically, I want to be like a billionaire with like more money than I could ever spend. So that is like how detached I am from reality
Mhm,
about money. It is totally insane,
mhm.
and it's just funny that like the feeling of uselessness and self pity um, it hasn't disappeared,
No.
but for it's much less than it used to be,
Right. And you're aware of it more too.
for sure.
Yeah.
But when money comes up for whatever reason, even though I know it is stupid,
Yeah.
I get really like in my feelings about it, and
Mhm.
like then the self-seeking appears again.
Mhm.
And the other amazing thing that happens, and it's just like a reminder that I am not cured, is one of the first things I do when I realize in a moment that like, oh man, I want that house. Oh, but I don't have any money.
Yeah.
Or like whatever. Like we look like we might be a little short this month. Whatever. Like one of the first things I do is I start thinking about all the people I know who have a lot of money,
Right.
and I start thinking about how stupid they all are. And
Amen.
look at all the money that guy has. He's an idiot.
He doesn't know what
he, doesn't,
he's doing.
he doesn't know anything. She's a dummy. Why does she have so much money? Like,
They are lost in their own reality.
yeah, or like, well, that's what they've sought out a life where all they get is money. So that's what they probably are lacking in a lot of other things. Like I'm making all these
Oh,
crazy.
you know it, man. Like, look at how wise I am.
Yes,
Yeah, you have money, but you're a fucking idiot.
yes, yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I'd gladly trade my sobriety for like no, but I mean
No.
like, but it's still kind of like I have all of this amazing. I have this amazing life, um, but I want more.
Yeah.
And I don't want, I'm not like, I don't, it doesn't occur to me like 5 times a day that like, man, I want some more serenity. I want some more
Right.
conscious contact with God. What I think about is like, man, I'd really like 5 more grand in my bank account right now.
I'd
Or
really like that new TV.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Or yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Or, I'd like whatever. I'd sure like that vacation to not be on the credit card. And so it's just, like I've been sober for a while now.
Yeah.
And
What, 13 years?
uh, yeah, 13 and a half years.
Yeah.
And so, but to still be like so wrapped up in that like nonsense, you
Oh,
know what I mean?
dude, it's funny. I'm really happy that we're talking about this one in particular, because I have, well, let me put a pin with that real quick. But today at work, uh, my boss's friend came by, and he needed to pick something up in our office, and I know he's a sober guy, and I was like, hey man, I just got 10 years about a month ago. And he's like, that's fucking great. We had this really good, like, you know how it is when you meet an AA out in the world, when you meet a sober person that because we're we're different people, but we're still like the birds of the same feather.
Yes.
And when you can share in a moment like insecurities or things that you're proud of, that other people may not understand, it really is just an incredible bond. But he too was talking about, like, I got this shit property in Tulum that I got to try and fucking sell. I'm going to take a bath on it, and it's like, you own property in Tulum and you're concerned that you're going to, fuck off.
Right.
But I have done really well in terms of my insecurity about money. I have I've seen what it can do to people, the obsession over it. See, there's not a lot of difference in if you have an obsession, you have an obsession, right? And that's part of addiction, is the obsession of the mind. And you focus on that thing that you need, that you are addicted to. And people, I feel, especially in this country, that I've noticed and seen with my own eyes, they are addicted to accruing wealth. There's never enough, and it's this obsession, and that obsession is then imparted on others, and it throughout our entire society, it's all about money and wealth and money. Like the financial wealth it'll set you free and it'll solve all your problems. But much like alcoholism or addiction, you take away the substance, you still have the same obsession, right? And okay, so you have enough money. I'm a billionaire, but you still have that same fucking obsession. So what are you going to do with it? Right. And I realized that, I don't know, within the past year, and I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. Is money going to come my way? Yeah, probably. I'm just going to go out. I'm going to do my thing. I'm not going to stress about it. And shit gets done, but I'm not going to lie. I mean, we live in the North Shore of Chicago. And for those that don't know, watch a John Hughes movie and look at the houses, look at the cars that people drive.
I don't live in one of those houses.
And I don't drive one of those cars. Yes. But they're everywhere. They're everywhere. Yes. I mean, you drive 3 miles north of here and there's black Land Rovers in every single driveway in these $4 million houses. And it's, you can't help, I guess, but feel an inadequacy with that. And so to your point, what is it again that says here? Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. Fear of people and of economic insecurity. That's kind of a funny thing that they put in there, because we will resent people who have money. Right. And we won't want to hang out with them because we think they're fucking idiots.
Yeah. Or yes. And I think, if I, like you're talking about, if you have $1 billion and you still have the obsession, that's true. But like a part of me is like, I'd like to just try it out though.
I'd like to see what that obsession feels like.
Yes, exactly. So so that's the thing, like, you're right. But if I had a lot of money, I wouldn't want people judging me because of the fact that I had a lot of money.
Well, they're gonna fucking judge you up and down twice on Sunday.
Right, but I'm saying, like, if you're trying to treat other people like you would want to be treated,
Yeah.
like, you know, to just kind of put that aside.
Yeah.
Like I used to, I caddied for 10 years, and
Oh man.
and I'm like, so you're caddying for like wealthy people. Obviously,
Mhm.
they were members in a country club, um, and some of the people were, you know, rotten bastards,
Mm.
but a lot of them were great,
Mhm.
and but they were all wealthy. So you know, just like people without money, same thing. So it's like I know that intellectually, but still, when I'm in the moment,
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck that guy. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh
like
yeah.
always, as you know, that's my thing. Or I'm like, oh, I could do that if I stooped. You know, if I, you know, like debased myself to get grubby with money. It's like, no, man, like, come on. And so, you know, I
Well,
don't.
what do you do to check yourself? What do you do to then, you know, stop that thinking? To bring it back to, you know, a baseline where you're like, you know what? No, no, I'm good.
I before I even
Yeah, yeah.
say that, I also want to say that I'm so bad with money that
Mm.
like I'm such a spendthrift. I always have been, that like I stopped handling any financial stuff for our
Yeah.
union
Yeah.
even before Tracy and I got married. Like she handles all bills, all accounts, and the precipitating event for that was when I was working and it was in the middle of winter and I came home and the gas had been turned off. And Tracy was like, what happened? I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then she found the bill and she's like, did you ever pay this? I'm like, well, there must be some mix up at, you know,
Oh
whatever.
God, I know that conversation.
And so there was like,
hey, the lights aren't working.
yeah,
Oh.
right, exactly. So so I have none of those responsibilities anymore. It's because of, like, I'm just bad with the whole damn thing, you know. So if I'm really getting like crazy about it, sometimes I'll talk to Tracy about it. Sometimes I won't because I don't want to put something
That
heavy
under.
on her too. I'll
Yeah.
talk with my sponsor about it. He's hilarious about the whole thing because he's like, yeah, man, that's living here, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
you'll be okay. But like,
I know that's the other thing. Like we could move.
yeah. But his advice a lot of times is like, you got to go to more meetings. And I'm like, right, but what else? Like if what apart from that? And he's like,
You just need to hear some people talk, man.
yes, exactly right.
Get some fucking levity.
Yeah.
You know?
And so like when people tell you, like, you know, people tell you things that are the smart thing for you to do. And then you're like, yeah, but I don't, but what apart from that, or like different from that, what could I do? And like talking to you about it, or like, you know, whatever, like just to be
Well, like,
real about how petty it is. That's the thing that's hard.
yeah,
It's not just
yeah.
like I'm obsessed with money. It's basically on a deeper level. It's like I remain in like some important ways rather petty and
Yes.
small.
Yes.
You know, and it's really not what I want to be, you know.
It's so beautiful though that you're aware of that. You're like, God, fuck, what's your biggest defect, Rich? I'm petty and small-minded.
Yeah, resentful, covetous, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
like and it's funny, like every time like a new character pops up where I'm like, you know, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. But like this time it's different, you know, because like he or she is doing this and this, and it's like beneath, you know, whatever. And it always sounds like a new story, but when I look back on it, it's like the same character
It's the
type,
same
you know.
fucking thing.
I'm doing the same thing over and over again. It's just like super boring and like trite. And
You know, and God, and this is you know, we can harp on this in you know, and I think you will find this in lots of different methods of recovery. There are cliches and corny sayings like keep it small, you know, but the the one that always gets my fucking dander up is do the next right thing. And that simply means like, well, don't yell at the guy in front of you in traffic. You know, get to work on time.
right.
You know, make your lunch, make your bed. You know, simple things. And when you, if you spend a day doing that, even if you spend like the thing about sobriety and whatever you're doing to keep yourself sober, you're fucking it up more than you're getting it right a lot of the time. And I mean, I guess after a while that switches, but it is, you are able to ground yourself and to get over that pettiness, because I am petty too about the stupidest fucking stuff. And it, for me, it's not so much money. It's time. That's my thing. Is like I always get in a twist about being on time or being late or this or that involving time. But what the does it really matter? No, no. I mean, don't be like a dick and be like an hour late to work every day. But like, okay, all right, just do better on that tomorrow. Like, same thing about money. I fucked up and I obsessed over money all day, and I resented this guy that I met at a meeting or I had lunch with today, but tomorrow I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I think like, the other thing is that no, the money is like, in time maybe like this too, maybe a little less, but money is like a very zero sum game where like money is finite. I get some, you get less. I mean, at least on like a global, like a macro scale. And that is, a game that we're all engaged in to a certain extent to provide for our families. And there's good rationales for that and all that. But we're given to access, so we don't play that game with a lot of grace and dignity. And that's not just an A, that's a lot of us beyond. But I think the spiritual experience of sobriety is getting out of the zero sum game where so like in serenity, it's not like I get serenity more so you have less. It's like we both have more. Like there's not a finite supply of serenity, really. There's as much as you wish to have. And so it's kind of getting out of that very well-worn groove of the zero sum game and into the best part about AA, which is like, it's not all about that. It's about, peace and serenity and being of service to others, like that's where your joy is and all that you do for kids and your family. And for me too, like at root, like I know I care about money, but I also know I don't want to care about money.
Exactly.
I care about serenity and I want to care about serenity.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think that's a major difference. And so, with the promises, it's like the thing that I find annoying, like I like do the next right thing.
Yeah.
But I don't like the promises. Usually when I hear them, I chafe because I'm like, well, speak for yourself, motherfucker. Because like I'm not seeing these show up, like what I'm saying.
Oh,
like,
yeah, man, dude. I haven't cracked my big book in the longest time. Surprise. And when you said, hey, I want to, talk about the promises, like I don't know the last time, honestly, that I've read these. Okay. I mean, I know them. I couldn't recite them from memory on the spot, but reading through them, today I printed them out and, I read through them and I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me with these things,
right.
And that just that tells me that the work is never done.
Yeah, right. Totally. So like,
and I think that's the point of these is like,
I think you're right.
It's never done, dude.
Right. And I think like the reason that I chafe sometimes when I hear them is because sometimes they sound to me like platitudes.
Yes.
And I agree with you that they're not meant to be. They're meant to be aspirational.
Yes.
To a degree. And noticing progress over time.
Like, right. Progress, not perfection.
Yeah. So they say they are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. The last sentence is annoying. They will always materialize if we work for them. It's like, okay. Like you don't know that because you don't know me. But maybe you're right. But it seems like a little presumptuous. But when I do think like that is the, it's like it's a daily program. And when I have, drinking dreams, like I'll like.
Do you have those often?
Not often, but probably every few months or so.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Like real.
Vivid. Yeah, you wake up in the morning and you're like, did I?
I'm like, oh my god, panicked.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, what am I going to tell Tracy?
Yeah.
I'm like, where are my shoes still on?
Exactly. Where the bottle? Where's the bottle? Is it in the back of the toilet again?
And especially earlier on sobriety, like on those occasions, I would reach out to my sponsor, John, and be like, hey man, I had like a crazy drink. He'd look at me and he'd be like, it just means you're not cured. And I was like, okay, like, is that it? He's like, yeah, go to a meeting. And I'm like, oh, it's always the same shit with him, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you're not cured.
You're not cured to go to a meeting.
But it's true. Like so when the
Yeah.
so when the money stuff comes up, I think it like the constructive way to look at it is like you're not cured. You know, like
Yeah.
you want to be like this magnanimous, amazing spiritual being that like sheds enlightenment on all people that you come into contact with.
Yeah.
But actually, just check your fucking self and stop creating this crazy story about the rich man down the block that is not based in any kind of reality and has nothing to do with you, you know?
Yeah, it has absolutely nothing to do with you. And for those that you know that do have wealth, financial wealth, like it has absolute nothing fucking do with you.
Yes.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Why do I wrap my head around it so much and focus on like, Jesus, why are they being that way? It's so fucking annoying. Enough is always a fucking enough, you know? And like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, the other, it just takes a lot of the humor out of it too. Like,
yeah, it does.
You know, like we all know very wealthy people who have totally discounted the possibility that luck had anything to do with them making a lot of money.
Right.
And that's like really funny, but if it's not funny if you're like resenting the person the whole time.
Exactly.
And it's also really funny when the very wealthy person believes deep in their soul that they are an expert on every topic because they happen to be very successful in their specific niche industry. No, like if I'm resentful at that person, then like it's not funny. Like that's really annoying. But if I can push that away, like it's hilarious. Like you can ask people like that.
Truly hilarious.
You can like lean over to your wife and be like, watch this. And then ask them like 10 questions in a row about totally disparate subjects, and they will give you absolute definite opinions on each and every one with the same degree of certainty.
Yeah.
And that is like a gift from God.
It is. What's the pattern of tightening nuts on a wheel when you put it back on?
Yeah. So here's what you want to do. Right. And then be like, so who should the Bulls have taken in the draft this year? And, you know, yes.
Oh, they got a local guy.
Yeah.
Another local guy. I just love that. You know what Chicago needs? They need more local people here. They need more local players. That's what we need. Chicago needs more Chicago.
Yeah. Right. So like,
does it? How about a guy that can score some points?
Anything, just for the love of Christ. So yeah, I don't know. Like, that's why I wanted to talk about it with you, because talking about that, like I think it's the pettiest part of me. It's actually, I think it's like it's the aspect I'm like most ashamed of in a way about, just because it's like so small.
Yeah.
And I don't want it. You know, like I really don't want that to be a part of me, but it is a part of me. So I hope in the future that the promises are correct, but they, you know, we'll see. But either way, like if I'm talking with somebody about it, it's funny again. And like, it's not like some sad, you know,
just consumed with it all fucking day. And having your self-worth attached to it, you know, look, I don't so much have, you know, personal, well, no, that's not true. I have personal issues with other people. You know, I work in real estate, and, you know, people make gobs of money in real estate, and
fuck them.
Right. Fuck them all, man. Oh, what, you bastards. You're such a dick. Oh, you like the new tax code? Yeah, thought so. Yeah. Did you know that we used to have, you know, civilly funded mental health centers, you know, where you're having a crisis, you could actually go there? No, but you never mind. But see, that's where my head goes. And I just get these stupid fucking resentments. And, you know, it happens at Little League baseball games when, you know, I just see parents and I can tell. And I don't know that person from a stranger on the street. And I will resent them because I perceive them to have a certain financial status. I don't fucking know. You know, that's the other thing that I have started to work toward is I don't know what's going on with them.
Right.
I mean, perception is reality, and I perceive them to be a certain way, and I resent that over them, but I don't fucking know what's going on with them. So why do I care? Right. And it, that that's like an old pettiness, an old thing that I get hung up on is like the status. We have to, I guess I fight back against it and I resent it when I'm like, but I don't fucking need to be that way. I don't need that, so I'm not gonna, I mean, like tonight I did a bunch of like landscaping shit before I went to go watch one of the kids' ball games. I came inside and I was like sweating like a fucking stuck pig. I guess I would be bleeding. But anyway, I was covered in sweat, had dirt shit all over me. And I was like, well, I can clean up real fast and like change and shower or whatever, and then run over to the ball game. And I'm like, well, I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I'm just going to go.
Right.
And I showed up. I look like a fucking, like I just came from working in the yard. And, while I'm walking there, I'm like, hey, fuck these people. They're looking at me.
Right.
Did anyone pay any attention?
None. Yeah. No one
They
cares.
they didn't fucking care.
But isn't that an indicator of like, that's so great? It's like, what are they saying? It's like judging your insides by other people's outsides.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like in us thinking that we're like the center of the universe. Like people really don't give a damn like what we're up to,
They don't fucking care.
And then if we're not in, and then like I was saying before, like if I go into it like that with like the F these guys mentality, that's at a baseball game like you were talking about, or like a party or a parish get together, whatever.
Right, I forgot you. Yeah.
None of it. Oh my god! I don't even know.
Off mic.
But like that, like then all of the humor is sapped from it.
Yeah.
Like because then I'm not even able to notice. Like sometimes there is somebody who's like giving you the eye, the evil eye, or who's like eyeing you up, and looking at you condescendingly. Like that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But like if you're angry going in, it's not funny to you.
Yeah, you're like fuck that person.
Yeah, and so instead of taking advantage of like a hilarious mood lightening episode in a day, it becomes like a darkening episode in a day. And so I mean, I don't know.
Do you ever when I was a kid, teenager, was part of a youth group at this church in my hometown, and the summer between sophomore to junior and junior to senior, so 2 summers in a row, I grew up on the Oregon coast, about an hour and a half north of California. Well, California's a long fucking state, but anyway, we'd take a bus, and a school bus, like a converted school bus, and a couple of vans, and we would make our way down through California into Tijuana.
That's a long ride, man.
It is a long fucking ride. Yeah, especially when you're going like 50 miles an hour. For those of you who know what the Grapevine is, trying to get up the fucking Grapevine in a school bus, it was no AC. It's the middle of summer. Anyway, we get into Tijuana. We hook up with this organization. I don't remember the name of it. Anyway, we slept in dumps, and we set up camp in dumps, and we didn't have any running water. And we bathed in the water that they had there, and which was foul. And we would we'd leave each morning, and we'd go up into the hills outside of these like quote unquote suburbs of Tijuana. Very poor, very 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 poor. And we would build a house, and this house was nothing more than a concrete floor, 4 walls, and then like a divider wall. And it was stuck out. It was like what we would consider a shed for our yard, but with like a wall dividing it and like a walkway. So it's 2-room garden shed. And the people that we gave these to were just like sobbing and like in gratitude. They just could not believe what they had. And it was like, ooh, fuck, what am I I mean, it was an amazing lesson and an amazing experience. And I have been, I have been like reflecting back on that a lot lately because much like, a lot of us, summertime for kids, for families, is incredibly expensive nowadays. Sports, camps, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars. And that's a lot to absorb. Happy to spend the money because I see what it does for my kids and the experiences that it has for my kids. And that makes me feel proud.
You're a better man than I am.
And I, well,
I spend that money resentfully. Go ahead though.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna make this about my experiences. I'm not talking about, other people in my life. But it makes me, I think like, well, okay, so it's tight. It's tight, right? I'm not going to be destitute. I am not going to be living in the hills, shitting in a hole in the ground with no money, no sanitation, no running water. It's hotter than fuck. And I don't have a place to live. And so I get the equivalent of like a tough shed from Home Depot and I'm over the moon. What am I fucking stressing about?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I think my sister worked at an orphanage down in Bolivia out of college, and I went down there to see her in Southside Santa Cruz in southern Bolivia. And I had never seen poverty like that. It's like what you described. And I thought to myself, like, man, this is different. And it changed me.
Yeah.
And then I got back.
And you kind of forgot.
I forgot. Yeah. And so now I'm like, man, I was real poor back then. But now let's get back to that $5,000 I need. It's just like crazy. Like, yeah, that's too bad about those people.
These AirPods can't get sweat on them? The fuck? Apple?
Right. We need to do another week of Taekwondo camp. I need another $5,000. Like, it's so nuts. You're right. You're totally right.
I know. It is nuts. I don't, I never went without, but we certainly did not have like disposable income growing up. And, I mean, some of the families of my friends that I hung out with, like these were some fucking like really poor people. And you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know it. And I that's like a level of grace that I think I'm trying to get to.
For sure.
Where it's just like, yep, like what is, again, we're not going to forget the past or shut the door on it. It's like, yeah, it's okay to accept like, yep, that's who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm a pretty good human being. And at the end of all of it, like when it's my time, I can look back and be like, I was good. I did good for others. And like, that is where my legacy is going to live on. Like people are going to continue to do good because I did good to them, and they're going to take that and they're going to do good to others, and it's going to ripple.
Yeah. I think that, like to finish off that, so like some of the promises are true, at least in my life. And I know for yours too, like our whole attitude and outlook on life will change. That's true. That's happened.
Absolutely.
Like,
I mean, us doing it here right now and kind of making a joke about it is
exactly,
it's an example of that.
Right. And so instead of like burying that or disguising it as something it's not, like righteous indignation, instead of like what it really is like just foolishness and pettiness, that has changed, and like sharing it with each other and like having a conversation about it is different. And so our outlook and attitude has changed in that respect, and the humor, the restoration of humor to it,
because life is pretty fucking funny, everybody.
Yes. And then we will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. In many instances, that's true. Like, if again, me talking to you about this is something that was intuitive to me when it bubbled up for like the 50th time in 2 weeks, I was like, oh man, I should talk to Chad about it.
Yeah.
And that was correct. That was like the right move.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was the right move for you to be like, oh yeah, sounds good. Let's talk about it. You know, and that's the kind of thing that like would have baffled me for a long forever.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I would just be turning on it forever, and it's boring and stupid and
it's
grim.
exhausting. It's so exhausting. The obsession, dude. And you know, an aunt of mine, God bless her, she said to me in front of my parents one time, "Hey, Chad, if it feels good, do it." And my parents were like so pissed off about that. And so I didn't really like chew on it for a long time. And now I understand what she means by that is like, if it feels like it's the right thing, do it.
Yeah, you gotta know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
You say that.
Yeah.
But that's funny because it works on different levels. Like,
but she was a sober person too,
yeah.
you know.
So she was like, that's the right thing to say.
Yeah, you do have to. I know, like.
No, but that's true. And it's almost like you respect the person by telling them like that.
Yeah, it is like, you know, what you were saying is like, okay, I can sit here and chew on my financial insecurities again and my pettiness and all the bullshit that I like to carry around with me every day. Or I could just simply, you know, send a friend a text. You'd be like, hey, I gotta get this off my chest.
Right. Because through, at least for you and me, in AA,
yeah,
the whole, like, one of the huge things like you and I talked about before is like it's the leaving of isolation.
Yes.
And so then you're with other people and you have this communion, and it's amazing. And so you have all this healing and growth and joy that comes from that communion. And so I'm not just throwing Catholic terms in here. I mean like lower C communion.
What it's fellowship, man.
Yeah,
it's all the same.
Fellowship, right. So, you know, like, so because of that, like, we know that this is like the path, at least that we've been on, to make things better. Right. You know? And so I think that at least for like the next few days, when I hear the promises, I'm not going to get pissed. I'm going to be like, it's okay. And I'll wait to get pissed about that maybe until like Sunday. And then maybe I'll get Sunday, I'll be like, maybe till like Monday or Tuesday.
Maybe I won't eat that block of cheese on Saturday night and I can't crap Sunday morning, and then I'll get resentful about my finances.
Exactly.
Shit, I can't even afford toilet paper.
There's like the thing, like the boring rich guy, you know, but like I would be like, if this is unaddressed, I'd be the boring not rich guy, because I'd be obsessed with money just as much as the rich guy, but just not have it. And that's even worse.
Oh, I know.
So like, no thanks, you know.
Couldn't have said it better, dude.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. And there you have it. I love Rich. Such a fun, loving, caring guy. Very honest, very vulnerable. It was a good conversation. I hope you took a lot from it. I've re-listened to it a few times, and it's really, really good. I'm proud of that one. All right, I'm going to head out of here. If you do need to reach out to the show, you can get a hold of me at notalltherepod@gmail.com, notalltherepod@gmail.com. Don't forget, if you're enjoying what I'm doing here, please do give it a rating on Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever you might be listening to this. You go out there in this world, you take care of yourself, all right? You be kind and loving to others, be kind and loving to yourself. Give yourself that big hug because you deserve it. All right, we will be back soon. Can't wait to share some more fun and hopefully educational conversations. I'm going to get out of here. I need another cup of coffee. All right, take care of yourselves. See you next time.